Yeah, Sonic. I'm also bored. What should we do? And we could fight. Yeah, but let's do something else. Let's do a reaction video. A reaction video? I bet. Gotta get the remote. Okay. Got the remote now. Let's do it. Do that stuff. Not that. It's so hard to pick. Do you see something? Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. It's from the guy's channel. Yeah. It's super cool that we actually see our own video. Technically, it's not ours. Basically, Roblox. So we're part of this channel. Yeah, I found a video that he makes your first game, Sonic. Oh, cool. It's gonna be so fun.
So a lot of people have been wanting me to do a video trying to remake Sonic, but there
This
are
was
a
4
lot of
years
games
ago.
that I've played, and even more that I haven't. So it was hard to choose just one. I could try to remake Sonic 06 and try to fix the features that the game had, or I could try to do something wacky like giving Sonic a sword. Wait, no, that already exists, and 10-year-old me enjoyed that more than I probably should have. But actually I think I'm going to remake the original Sonic the Hedgehog because of how much time I spent playing the original games. As a kid, I only owned a couple of games for the Sega Genesis. I had Sonic 1, 2, and 3, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, and Richard Scarry's Busy Town.
I would like to have some lemonade.
Needless to say, I played a lot of Sonic growing up, and I just think that Green Hill Zone Act 1 was such an iconic level in the game that even Sega decided to remake it to some degree in Sonic Generations. However, something was still lacking about the remade version of Generations, and that's the third dimension. While Sonic Generations merely updated the level to use modern graphics and assets, I plan on reimagining the level as if it were designed as a 3D game. So in order to try and remake it as accurately as possible, I needed an accurate picture of the level to use as a reference. And by reference I mean completely tracing the outline of the level. After I finished the outline of the level, I was left with a boring looking gray shape, so the next thing I did was make materials for the grass, the dirt, and apply them to the outline. But at this point, I still just have a 2D shape, so to fix this, I just dragged it out, and now it's 3D. I intentionally held off on some parts for now, like this loop, and you'll see why later. But for now, we have stretched out to represent the water, so that you can see the background of the level. Then I reused the same water shader that I used in my Portal video to make the goo, and now we have a pretty convincing body of water surrounding us. Finally, I needed to make a new skybox to fully immerse ourselves into this world. Now, there are some things that I know how to do in game dev, but making a proper skybox isn't one of those things. So I simply made a square with a repeating texture and made a dome out of it, and the results are actually really good, except when you look at it from this side. At this point, the bulk of the level design was now finished, and now I just had to go around placing tiny props like trees and flowers. I found a bunch of models on Sketchfab for all of these, and got to work on adding them into the game. First I had the palm trees, then the yellow and purple flowers, as well as these tiny little bushes. Then I found a model for an old CRT monitor because for some reason the developers decided to use them as item boxes in this game. And it may look fine if we look at it from here, but when you turn this into a 3D game, it kinda doesn't make sense anymore. Then I added the bridges, some rocks, and these weird totem things. The last 3D model that I could find was for the end of the level model for the springs, checkpoint, or spikes. I decided to make them myself. Finally, I added in some waterfalls using the same water shader from earlier. Now with the level pretty much complete, it was time to add in a playable character, and the first step was to look for a decent Sonic model. There were a lot of tempting options to choose from, like Steven the Hedgehog, our bravest warrior, and, well, whatever this is. Ultimately, I decided to go with this classic Sonic look. The great thing about this model is that it was fully animated with pretty much everything I needed, so huge props to this guy. Some of the animations were a little bit weird when I imported them into Unity, so I had to clean them up a bit. Then I just slapped on the character controller that I've been using in my previous videos, and adjusted the values for things like speed and jump height. With Sonic moving around now, I started to add in features to make him... Let me show you why I held off on that until now. After trying my best to model it, it looks fine when you look at it like this. But since this is a 3D game, we need to look at it in 3 dimensions. And yeah, just in case my previous videos didn't make this clear, I should reiterate that I'm not a 3D modeler. But on the bright side, at least it works. Kinda. Tunnels. To be honest, I'm not sure how these would work in a 3D space. They make sense looking from a 2D perspective, but if I were to try to do this in 3D, you would have to do something about the camera. A common approach to characters being confined in tight spaces is to pull the camera closer to the player to prevent them from being obscured by another object. I feel like this wouldn't really work because the size of the hole is basically the same size as Sonic, and he also gets in and out of the tunnel in about a second, so it'd just be a really jarring experience. So instead I just decided to make it a simple teleport for a lack of a better solution. And the last interactable environment piece are the platforms. Some platforms go up and down, some go back and forth, and some just fall into nothingness after stepping on them. This last one was a bit tricky to get working. In game dev terms, basically I had to make the platform be the parent of Sonic when it steps on it.
I'm kind of getting a little bored of this, right, Knuckles?
Next I made a model.
No. No.
Kingdom. I mean, the game. This is a Sonic video game, and there's a lot of them. This is a Sonic Lego minifigure, and there's also a lot of these guys. And right now, they are all homeless, so I'll be making 10 different video games in plastic form to serve as homes for them.
Never mind, that's kind of boring. Right. I guess we can watch this. This music is fire, by the way. Nope, never mind, this is not the one.
For years. But what happens when his fans can't play his games? You know, I want you to buy me Sonic 1 from Sega. Benito, we don't have any money.
I
spent it all on this dancing rat.
Okay, that dancing rat part was so funny, bro. And guys, that was our reaction. It was definitely not because we were told to, okay, guys? Okay? Anyway, see ya.